What's up, everybody? It's SuperSmallchibiwolf here, and today I'm going to be talking about the situation with Vic uh, Mignogna. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I'll just be referring to him as Vic. Sorry if I got that name wrong. Mignogna. Mignogna? Yeah, I think that's how it's pronounced. Moving on from that. So, here's the voice of Broly in the Dragon Ball Super movie that recently came out. And also, he does do other stuff, as you can see on the thumbnail that I created. He does that stuff too, and he's a well-known person in the community of anime. He does, yeah, he's just he's a voice actor, and so he did have a role in Star Trek, something like that, etc. So moving on from that, now, in my opinion, I see I see these things recently of, a lot of people getting in trouble, for certain things, let's say in the community of entertainment in general, and it's pretty weird, A lot of people being accused of stuff, a lot of people being falsely accused and proven innocent, and it's a time, where it's getting there, it's like it's kind of weird, you know what I mean? For example, in this time it's Vic, sorry, my voice a little weird, but yeah, Vic. This time it's Vic, and in my opinion, he's a talented dude. Like I would say, I'm a fan of his work. Broly. He played Broly in the movie. He played it good. You know, and it sucks to see someone who did cool work be in this situation of involving sexual harassment. And yeah, man, it's weird in my opinion. Now, you know you probably saying, what did he do? You probably heard this already. Basically, he did something like he hugged a fan. He kissed his fan on the cheek. you know Stuff like that. And in different cultures, religions, and where I'm from, basically, also, it's a way of greeting that. And you know it's like common. It's nothing like surprising. Where if, like, for example, you meet someone, you're like, hey, what's up, my name Stevie, that's me. And she's like, hey, my name is uh I don't know, like, whatever. Put your name into a name or something. And then it's like, hey, what's up? Like, not always is gonna be like that, and not always is gonna be the other way either. You know what I mean? And in my opinion, I think it's something. What was it? I would say more like, because every religion and every country has their own way of expressing greeting, greeting people, like, for example, and doing stuff, different stuff other people is not, used to or know of. They're not, and you can see it both ways, in my opinion. For example, in one way, like, for example, I have a friend, he went, he's more like, what was it? More like, what is it? I know more like the Eastern stuff, you know, more in the Asian part he was born in, while I'm Hispanic part, I think, what was that? I don't know what Asian he was, but let's just say he's an Asian dude in his household, for example, and doing like different things. He's used to putting like, yo, you need to leave your shoes there, and I think put certain shoes, he told me, or something about it. Again, Ecuador, you leave your shoes in the front, you could go in, you be chilling, man. So it's a difference, here in this country, in Asia, you take your shoes, you put sandals. I think he explained it well. In other countries, you just be like, yo, you could have your shoes on. I'm gonna take them off near the door. If I want, me personally, when I go in the house, I ain't like take my shoes off. I just use my shoes to go outside. That's it. That's me. Sometimes I even, when I'm in the house where I live, I even take my socks off sometimes, man, to chill like that. So my point of that is it's different ways, where's your background, and then you usually go from there because you're used to that. You grew up in that shit. That's your thing. That's you. That's what you used to live in this. And yeah, it could be said also like this. Look, it could be said like this, but look, hey, look, this is where I'm used to. I grew up all my life knowing this, so I am sorry if that made you uncomfortable. You know what I mean? So it could be looked like that, but not a lot of people. I'm seeing these videos, and not a lot of people is bringing that up. And dude, the fucking background matters in this situation. Now, another thing is, man, I understand. Don't get me wrong. I understand. If something makes people uncomfortable, you need to say, look, don't, because he hugged someone, give him a kiss on the cheek. You need to be like, if you're a fan of this guy, you need to be like, excuse me, Vic, I know you like to greet, you have that greeting of hugging and kissing the cheek. I understand that. I respect that. That's your thing. That's what you grew up in. But please do not do it to me. That makes me uncomfortable. And yeah, just say that to Vic, to future fans and fans of his that's going to meet him, because, if you're used to that. And in the way, Vic, if you, like I said, you're used to that. I understand. I could fit in that boat with you. I'm used to doing that too. But I'm not gonna go up to some random person I don't know, meeting them in the first time, hugging and kissing them. That's not me. I know when and when not to do it. And look, man, I understand. Like I said, I'm used to that shit too, man. But in America or Canada, more like those parts, Western, I think so. You should know, dude, that they're more strict, they're more, tighter about stuff like that. And it's true. Come on, how many times in the news you see in the Western that you hear, like, this dude is looked at and then he did something, taken out of context stuff, Bill Cosby, like, all that stuff. They're more strict than that, man. And that's what I see when it comes to parts in the world. It's like, in one hand, you're used to like, hey, what's up? You can kiss on the cheek, high five, hug, while in another part of the world, it's like, that's taken as sexual harassment, and look, we don't do that. I am sorry, I understand that's your religion, or where you come from, they do that, but I don't feel comfortable. And you need, these days, in, like, let's say America, right? Because usually a lot of stories I hear is based on America, like this crazy stuff happens there. And I would say, man, I say like back in 2016, it really took like a, throughout the years 2016 comes, it's like a hand in the wall, that's where it starts. And now we're just dragging our fucking ass in the wall. That's how I'm seeing it, man. And it's pretty weird, man. Because these days you be hearing people going after a lot of people, man. You see, like, for example, man, in the industry, like, you see in the gaming industry, people say, you see these feminist, Western, and feminists being like, these games are sexual harassment or something like that, like they're mistreating. And then you see companies like Activision EA, which is garbage companies, by the way, falling for that, saying stupid stuff, and then other stupid garbage companies like Gillette doing stuff like that. Basically, it's a civil war. It's like a civil war, because I learned some American history, and I remember just saying like West States. I don't know, man. I'm not that good with those, but yeah, it's like a civil war in that around there, because it's like, in one hand, you see Gillette going after their main marketing, which is men, and saying they're sexist and all that, and bringing them. Let me give all the companies advice. If you're going to bring anything relating of controversial stuff in your business, you are not going to end well. Okay? A smart businessman does not put politics, sexual preferences, or anything controversial in their work. Okay? If you're trying to do business, do not do none of that. You stay away from that shit. So, number 2, my advice for all these big people is ask. you should really ask, man. I understand this is how you're grown up as. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to go against you. Man, I do this shit sometimes too. But I know when to do it. And I know, look, these people are different religion, different races, different country than me. I'm not going to go up to some person from, say, let's see, he works in anime, so anime, Japanese, Asia. I'm not gonna go up to some random Asian girl that's a friend of mine and be like, "Hey, what's up?" Kissing cheek and high five. No, man, like I'm just going. The best I'm gonna do is like, "Hey, what's up?" High five. That's it. That's what I do. Because hey, I know how the world works. I know that each part of the world, each country is different, and yeah, you could get into deep shit, and I don't want that. And I believe Vic is innocent, in my opinion. To be honest, in a way. Now, let me say this, man. When it comes to Vic, back to Vic, right? In my opinion, he didn't do that much. He didn't do a bad thing. All he did is just greet in a way that he knows well. He greeted this person in a way that, he is used to. And it's not like, oh, he grabbed her and started stroking her or nothing like that. You know what I mean? And there's no video proof of him doing something bad. So why do people need to be like, all heads butting? I think that's the saying. Yeah, why do people need to be doing that? Everyone's hand is in each other's throats, and they're like crazy, man. In my opinion, Vic, in my eyes, you are innocent, man. I think what you did was taken out of context, and to be honest, man, you should be a little bit more of a, here and there. You need to be a little bit more, what was the word? Open, maybe not open, but more. I don't want to say be nervous all the time, thinking like, oh, is this the day I'm going to be, put in jail? Is this the day? I don't want to come out as sounding like that, being all nervous all the time. Don't trust no one. Like, I don't want to sound that way, but be more of, be more aware, of what's going on, man. Because these days, I understand, like I said, so these days you need to be more aware, be like, look, So yeah, another thing I want to bring up is, I think that's it. Oh yeah, no. Oh yeah, Funimation, So now when it comes to Funimation, because he was fired from Funimation, it could be seen both ways too. So look, firing him is a bad thing, but it is understandable, They don't want controversy, stuff coming their way for keeping him. But still, there's no proof why firing him. In my opinion, they should just said, look, Vic, we're going to put you on hold until all this stuff either fades away and says you're innocent, or maybe we need to fire you if it is true, But, there was no proof, And in my opinion, he, innocent until proven guilty, I think. Because it's like, why would you put someone in prison if there's no proof of someone doing something bad and just people saying allegations or lies or stuff about someone doing something? And in my opinion, that's just why, But yeah, man, a company is a company, and anything to look good, And that's how it is, And in my opinion, Vic, I wish you good luck, man. In the industry, you are talented, and I believe you're going to get work because you've done a lot of good in your career. And man, I'm gonna end the video off here and say this, man. In my opinion, right, everyone has their way of greeting. Everyone has their way of expression and religious greeting and all that, whatever. And sometimes it's taken out of context stuff, and sometimes people need to be more aware and more serious and more, more handled, not handled, but more, aware. Let's just keep it like that. And yeah, sometimes some Western countries are more sensitive than other countries, Vic, and people needed to understand that, sometimes You know, when you're in a certain country that is sensitive, you need to be more aware. And, you know, that's how I see it. So with that being that, Vic, I would say, man, now I think you are innocent, man. Because I'm not seeing no videos of you grabbing girls and doing you pleasure. You know, nothing like that, like a lot of girls are saying. You know? And, you know, I'm not seeing no videos like him doing that. So in my opinion, he's innocent. I don't care what anyone says. It's my opinion, and I'm gonna have it. So yeah, with that being that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell me in the comments what you think. And also tell me in the comments, do you think greetings and all that should be held like a bad thing? You know, if you're used to one green thing, you grew up with it, and that's like a culture thing. Do you think that's bad for him to do that? Because he is grown up, you know, like tell me in the comments all that about everything, man. I really want to hear everyone's opinion. So with that being that, like, comment, subscribe, and until next time.